Welcome to this GoalStormer Pro Masterclass, where we show Pro subscribers how to make the most of GoalStormer. Today, we're going to look at how to set up staff development and performance management in just a few hours to give you real-world, evidence-based performance reviews without the panic, excuses, and last-minute rush. You're in the right place if you manage or supervise a team of people, if you're responsible for doing a number of staff performance or development reviews, if you know that you owe it to your staff to do performance development reviews but you never seem to have the time to organise them. You're in the right place if PDR seems to mean everyone run around trying to collect evidence of achievements from 6 months ago. You're in the right place if your view of progression and the staff members' view sometimes don't match, but this only comes out at review times, sometimes painfully. And you're in the right place if you're about to take on a new team or are starting out as a manager and want to avoid some of the classic pitfalls. By way of introduction, my name's Keith Sherring. I've been working with teams of all sizes and their achievements for over 20 years. I consult on both process and technology strategy and its implementation. I work with SMEs, national businesses and global companies with thousands of employees. I'm the creator of GoalStormer.com, and the work that we've done for charity and with application design has been recognised in a number of awards. Here's what you're going to learn by hanging around today. The 5 steps to implement staff development. 3 time-saving secrets of groups and templates for performance management. The 2 biggest benefits of User Plus subscriptions. 1 simple way to build a documentation trail. A Kickstarter guide to using progress reports. And how and why it makes sense to centrally manage your subscriptions. Please make sure that you do stay right to the end because I'm going to show you how to get GoalStormer Pro free for 60 days, and I'll show you how to get these slides so that you can get started right now. I'd like to take a few minutes just to share my story and tell you how GoalStormer came into being. Like many people, I suppose, I started out in a standard corporate career, working diligently, being a good team player and working on my annual objectives, usually working harder in the fortnight before my performance review, of course. And in one of those classic paradoxes, the more I learned and the more depth I went into, the fewer the people I ended up speaking to. The double-edged sword of being an industry specialist, I suppose. Now, at heart, I'm a people person, so I had a bit of a word with myself when I started to realise what was happening. You know, that thing where you go on a 2-day conference which is focused solely on the ins and outs of automatic electricity meter reading, which can be genuinely fascinating, but you realise that in the past 2 years you spent more time with some of the people at the conference than several members of your own family. So at that point, I had to decide where next. And I knew then that I needed to start my own business to take control of work and not the other way around, so that I could get out of life what I wanted. And of course, being a man of great action, I then continued to know that I needed to start my own business for another 7 years, whilst I hummed and hawed about whether I really had what it took to be that most mythical of beasts, the entrepreneur. I was held back by fear and insecurity, in other words. Then a random meeting helped me make my decision. I ended up in a long conversation with a venture capitalist who was lost in the middle of Cambridge, which is where I was working during the dot-com boom. And in between the detailed directions and the talk of internet-connected water meters, we discussed a great many things that might or might not happen with this new internet thing. And as he turned to leave and go to his hotel, he thrust his card into my hand and he said, "You know, if you ever want to join a startup, consider giving me a call." Now, I didn't normally get propositioned like that by strange men in the street after discussions about automated meter reading, so that got me thinking about whether I might be onto something with the idea generation side of the conversation. And that conversation started the ball rolling as I thought about the implications on the bus home that evening. What if I just did it and started the journey now? I mean, what's the worst that could happen? So I made a great leap, like a bounding gazelle, or perhaps more like a clumsy squirrel monkey. But anyway, full of energy and confidence, I decided to systemize my knowledge and run my own consultancy. But realistically, I knew that my overall business management experience was just too narrow. So I jumped from one of Europe's biggest technology companies and landed in a small but ambitious local business where I could both learn and make an impact. A positive one, hopefully. I built teams, recruited staff, built customer relationships, learned loads, fed into strategy and helped grow the business year after year. After 5 intense but fun years, I decided that the time was right to really face the fear and do it anyway. I handed in my notice. I had a month's worth of salary in the bank. It was 2009, the deepest part of the recession here in the UK. My company car went back, and an unexpected tax bill arrived. Yeah, I was certainly experiencing the feel the fear part of it. And then I discovered how many business people were willing to be incredibly generous with their time, experience, and their ideas when someone starts a new venture. One particular sage said to me, starting your own business is great. You only ever work half days. Pick any 12 hours you want. And yes, this time convinced me more than ever of the challenge of balancing the running of an effective and efficient business with maintaining a level of personal contact, understanding and service that I needed to differentiate myself with clients. And here's another paradox. When people love who you are and what you do, you start getting busy, until the point when you're too busy. But when you try to grow by having other people, your customers still want you. And that's why, to help me meet this challenge and grow my own business, I decided to systemize parts of what I knew into an app, so that people were buying my experience and my process, not just my time. I knew that would take a serious amount of thought, money, time and effort, but I also knew that to grow I needed to invest, and this would be my bet. That platform became GoalStormer, and after developing the first version, I enthusiastically showed it to a hand-picked audience for some straight feedback. And as I demoed it and shared my future plans, a common theme emerged in the feedback. People asked me, hey, I want to use all of this as the platform with my clients. Can I do that now? And it was then, listening to the comments and the questions, the discussions, and seeing what made people get fired up and enthusiastic, that I realised that this had to be a platform for mentors and managers, not just an app for users. Oh sure, I was excited about the possibilities, but there goes another year, I thought, silently weeping inside as I mentally calculated the effort and cost involved in adding all the new stuff. But I did it. I put my head down, I broke the journey down into tasks and developed new tools. And in fact, GoalStormer ended up being recognised in the National 2014 UK Mobile and App Awards as a finalist. And what's more, I achieved all of this whilst I was still doing my consulting work, helping managers and teams deliver big goals and great results. With GoalStormer, my vision is to help people unleash awesome, to let people's plans and goals take flight. It's also about multiplication. If GoalStormer can help more coaches, more advisors, more mentors and more managers, then they in turn can help more and more people achieve what matters to them. It's a sort of benign chain reaction, but without the yellow radiation suits and mutated sea bass. And it's worth remembering, because I'm also a mentor and manager, this is my solution too. It's solving the same problems for me and my knowledge as it will for you and your experience if you're a coach or a mentor like me. And because I'm just like so many other people, maybe just like you, I need to see a few key benefits. My consulting business, though based on knowledge and experience, needs to be effective, repeatable and efficient. And when I manage teams, I want clarity of accountability and responsibility, and I want regular progression and growth. I need my clients to execute and achieve on the advice, based on the advice that I give them, so that they value my services and ultimately pay my bills. And I don't want to spend lots of time cajoling and chasing and becoming the enemy. I want the system to lay the truth bare so that I can provide the positive support and motivation. Be assured, I have the scars here. I do really know what it's like to start and grow a people-centric, experience-driven business that thrives on personal service. And I'm excited for you to benefit from GoalStormer too. I want to share with you some ideas and practical suggestions for using GoalStormer now. And I want also to wish you success in using them for your own business, so I'll tell you at the end how and why to upgrade to a GoalStormer Pro subscription. Let's have a look at how GoalStormer helps you with staff personal development and performance management in your business, which gives you more consistency, more growth, happier staff and an easier life when it comes to tracking things. We're going to look at 5 steps for performance management, and the first is to set up accounts, pro accounts, for all the managers or supervisors or team leaders who need to oversee performance development and staff. We'll then show you how you set up one or more groups within GoalStormer to allow you to track within and across teams or across your whole business. We'll explain how you would go about a performance management meeting or a staff personal development meeting where you agree objectives and turn those into goals within GoalStormer with steps so you can break down the work. We'll show you how, when you agree the review frequency with the member of staff, GoalStormer can then schedule reports for you so that you don't need to remember to collect the information, but the reports that you work from are built from data within the system. And then lastly, we'll show you how you can use the analysis tools, the data tables and the reports to help you prepare for those regular reviews with staff. The first thing we need to do is set up pro subscriptions for you and any of the managers, supervisors or team leaders who are going to be operating the performance management or staff development scheme. So the way we do that is by logging in with our standard account, and then either look for the upgrade button over here at the top right, or under the tools tab there's a bigger upgrade button there. And what you then do is click on that button. You'll see the upgrade screen here, and we're looking for the pro subscription, and you can either try for 60 days here, or when you're ready, click the upgrade to pro button and you'll see a PayPal screen where you can put in your details, buy the subscription, and then when the confirmation comes through, go back into GoalStormer, log out and log back in again, and you'll pick up your new upgraded status. So let me log in again. So now just to confirm, you can see that because I'm a pro there's no upgrade button anymore, and when I look in the tools tab I can now see the Info Hub and Pro Hub buttons. The Pro Hub gives us the tools that we need to manage our staff and manage their development. And that's why it's important that all of the managers or team leaders or supervisors who are going to be involved in staff development or performance management have pro subscriptions. Now, you can buy those subscriptions separately per individual in the way that I've just showed you here, or what I'm going to show you slightly later in this webinar is how you as the owner can set up a license agreement so that you can centrally manage all of the different subscriptions for your different managers and supervisors. You can use GoalStormer groups to help you organize how you track and manage performance by team or similar. To do that, go into the Pro Hub, and then under the Groups menu, go to Manage Groups. And then what we'll do is create groups as we need them. Now, you can set any groups up that you want. I'm going to use ones, for example, that are about seniority, so I'm going to call this one Management Team. And this is for growing our management skills and capabilities. And we'll make that live. I'm not going to make it findable because I don't want any Tom, Dick and Harry joining this group. I just want people who I give the link to be able to join the group. Now I can manage who joins the group, so we'll see that in a second, but let's save that new group. I now have this box, this card here, which gives me all the information that I need for this group. I'm going to create another one now, and we're going to call this one Engineering. And save that, and then I think we'll have one for Customer Service. Now, GoalStormer users can be members of more than one group. So you could have, for example, someone who's in your customer service and in your management team as well. So these are just ways of collecting people together. You've also got resources here. So if we wanted to have the performance management handbook available to all people who are in customer services, if we click on the Manage Resources link here, what we can do is add a new resource link, and we'll call it something like the Staff Development Handbook. And if that was a PDF document, for example, we would put in here mycompany.org/docs/handbook.pdf or whatever the link is, and save that. And now what will happen is that link is available to members of this group. So it's a quick way for people inside groups to find web links that we've got for them. So there we go. That's us. Got 3 groups now, all ready to go. For your staff members to join groups, the simplest way is to use the web link here, right click and copy the link address, and then email that link to the members of staff who should be in this group. And then what happens is they follow that link and request to join the group. Your member of staff will then enter their reason for joining, so I'm in customer services, and request to join. As a manager of groups, I can review and accept joining requests simply by going into the groups menu, choosing joining requests, and then looking for the different groups that I own, which ones have outstanding requests. So here we can see one from Fluella, which has been submitted. So I can either accept or reject that. So I know who Fluella is. I accept her reason for joining. That's fine. So I'm going to accept her. And you can see there are no more outstanding requests. And if I have a look at my groups, my customer service group now has Fluella in there as an accepted member. And in the same way, I can accept any number of requests for users to be in these groups which represent the different teams or organisational structures that I'm using to manage performance. When it comes to personal development, what we want to do is put people's objectives into GoalStormer as goals. So imagine I'm doing the initial meeting with Fluella on her performance objectives or development objectives for this year. What I'll ask her to do is sit down with me with her laptop or her computer, tablet, whatever, and log into GoalStormer, and then we'll go into the Goals tab. And what we're going to do is for each of the main objectives which Fluella is going to take on this year for personal development, we'll click the plus button to add a new goal. So let's assume, for example, that one of the objectives that Fluella and I discussed is to double the size of the customer services team. So we then are asked, why would Fluella care about that? Well, what we want to do is to provide excellent customer service and job opportunities for staff. Now, in the objective setting discussions, this is quite a good conversation to have about why this is an important objective for Fluella to have, and it allows for a bit of dialogue about the understanding of the business drivers and the personal drivers behind why this is important. And then once you've reached the end, what's the result that you're going to get? How do you know that you're going to be finished? Well, we're going to have a head count of 12 staff. And we could perhaps put something in there about increased customer satisfaction or something like that. So it's the end result that we're aiming for and how we know that the goal is going to be delivered. And I'm going to give Fluella 6 months, I think is what we'll agree for that. So we'll say by the end of March next year. There we go. And what we're going to do is to enable me to track this goal with Fluella, what she needs to do is select. And so to enable me to track this goal with Fluella, what she needs to do is select me as the coach in here. And so I'm Jane, the coach, and then we'll add that goal. So what we've done now is we've got the main objective, or one of the main objectives that Fluella is working on, as a goal in GoalStormer. And that's what she's accountable for. And what we'll do now is we'll sit down together and break that down into steps. So we click the little plus button there to add more steps, and it might be things like, well, what sort of task might we need in order to achieve this objective? And this is part of the discussion that we'd have to and fro to say, what can you support Fluella to do? What will stretch her? What will develop her? So let's say that we're going to have some modelling of finances. So model the finances of the bigger team. Because maybe we want to encourage Fluella to pick up on financial skills. So we might say in here, talk to the FD to get templates and advice. So we're putting some of our knowledge and experience into the detail of the steps as well. And let's do that within the next month or so. We then might want to add another step, which would be define new structure and job roles. And actually, you know, we might want to do that first. Let's do that there, because that gives us something to talk to the FD about. Now, I'm just looking. This has come up red to show that's already past the date. So let's do it next week, or yeah, let's do it next week. and then update that, and you can see that goes back to the correct date. Now, this button here allows me to sort the steps into date order, so we have a program of work. So now what we're doing is we're talking about this overall objective, this thing which Floella is accountable for, and then some of the steps that she's responsible for. In the goal settings, we've set the coach so that it can be tracked, and all is now good to go. Now, it might be that you're not in a position to have Floella logged in when you are having your initial goal setting, objective setting meeting, which means that it's very difficult for her to then remember all the detail and put into GoalStormer to create a goal. So there is another option, which is for you to create the goal in your account and then transfer it across to Floella. So when you're having your objective setting meeting, then what you would do is you would take your notes on what the accountability objective is and what the detailed steps are, and what you need to think about and advise and help Floella with, and then you transfer the goal. If you're also interested in tracking how objectives are going team by team, then what you can do in the goal when you set it up or save it, when we have group here, pick the group that's of interest. So in Floella's goal here, she's in the customer service team, so we're going to select the customer service group and update the goal there. And what that now means is that we can track this goal within a group or a team as well. So if you've got lots of people working on similar goals or interrelated goals or interdependent goals in the same group, if you set that group within the goal, you can track the progress together. A lot of the time, what can happen with personal development and performance reviews and staff management is that we start out with great intentions about having regular reviews every 6 weeks or every 3 months, but often the pressures of work take over and we end up scrabbling around maybe a week or so before the annual review is due in order to collect information. So something that GoalStormer does, which helps us a great deal here, is to support much more frequent reviews of progress, which means that you have fewer nasty surprises at the end of the year. You get early warning when people are either doing well or doing badly against their objectives, so that you can step in early and get better results ultimately, which is what this is all about. So what we want to do is we want to go into the users menu and then progress reports. And then for each of the people that we personally are mentoring or managing, we go in and we look for the schedule button here. So here's Floella. So I'm Jane, the manager here, and I'm mentoring Floella and Keith. So I'm going to go in and click the schedule button here, and I want probably every, let's say the middle of the month, so the 14th of every, let's say every 3 months, because Floella, she's really good actually. I don't need to worry too much about tracking her. So day 14 of every 3 months, and save that. Now Keith, he's a different kettle of fish. I need to keep a bit more on track with him. So I'm going to say on the 3rd day of every month, I want to have a report sent to me. So what's happening here is GoalStormer is every 3 months will send me a report to my inbox for Floella, and every 1 month it's going to send me a report to my inbox for Keith. I'll explain to you later on in the webinar what that report looks like and how you can interpret it. But the main thing here is that GoalStormer is doing the remembering for you. It's sending you the information based on the progress updates that Floella and Keith are putting into GoalStormer, so you've always got the latest picture. So if they're not doing anything, you don't see any progress in the reports. If they are making lots of progress, you see that reflected in all of the steps which are being done as the report comes through. Now, what you can do, because it's coming into your inbox as a manager, is have a quick look through the report, pick up on anything that needs commenting, and forward that PDF report on to either Floella or Keith with your comments. So it's a very, very quick way for just giving some insight and guidance very, very regularly, so that, as I say, you don't get the nasty surprises at the end of the year. Now, if, for example, you need to pause the reports, you can just click the off button here to switch them off and then switch them back on again. Or you can change the frequency. If Keith starts to behave himself, I can change to every 2 months and save there. This is all very flexible, and it's all about giving you the information when you need it to bring advice and guidance throughout the year, not just at the end. Hopefully you will have been benefiting through the year from the scheduled reports which GoalStormer has been sending you and all of your staff so that you're keeping up to date with their progress. But the time will come when you want to have a one-to-one meeting or Skype call or phone call with your staff. So GoalStormer gives you a few things that you can do to help prepare for that, and they're under the users menu. What we can do is we can dig into the progress reports as we've seen before, but instead of scheduling this time, what we can do is we can preview the report. And if you want to prepare them ahead of time, you can use this tolerance here. And what that does is it gives you a day, a week, or a month of leeway before it declares a step or a goal is overdue or has been done early. So that's just a little way of allowing you to prepare things in advance if you've got lots of reviews coming up. So if we click the preview button this time, what we'll get is a nicely formatted report that you can print out or PDF, and I'll explain this in detail later, but fundamentally this is all the information that you need for the review for Floella. Now if you don't want a formal report like that, but you'd like to dig into the information just to prepare yourself for the meeting, under the users menu, go goals I'm coach for, and then if you remember we'd set a goal for customer services team for Floella. There we go. So double the customer services team, click on the goal title, and you can see a quick view of exactly where all the different steps are and what progress is and what the buy when date is and so on. Now if you need to quickly get hold of Floella before the review meeting in order to ask her a question, in GoalStormer you can just click here on the envelope icon, and that will open up your email client with an email ready to send to Floella. So it's just about saving that extra second or two when you're trying to organise review meetings and you've got lots and lots of them happening, which is what tends to happen, of course, when you're doing performance management for teams. Templates and groups within GoalStormer give you 3 time-saving approaches to help you manage staff performance and development. If you find that you're using lots of similar goals for people with common objectives, then what we can do is we can set up template goals in GoalStormer so that you create the goal once and can use it many times across many staff and many teams. We'll show you how to use the filtered progress tables to get a quick comparison of how people within teams are doing, or how the people working on common goals using templates, how they're all doing relative to one another. And we'll show you how you can send short, simple group update messages, one message to all members, to make communications more efficient. Sometimes we find that we're using the same goal, the same objective over and over and over again. So what we can do with GoalStormer is turn that goal into a template. So the way to do that is to create the goal in your own account. So in this instance, everyone in the business is going to have to learn the new data protection laws. So I've created this goal here, which has a few steps in it: to take an online course provided by the government, to do a little audit of what I know, and then to take an exam and forward on a certificate. Now it just so happens that everyone in the customer services team is going to have this as an objective anyway, because we've got to show compliance. So to create a template, I go into the Tools menu, click on ProHub, and then the Templates menu. And I'm going to manage templates here. I'm going to create a new template. And what GoalStormer does is it says, pick one of the goals that you've got in your current GoalStormer, so it's the learn the new protection laws, and then decide whether it's something that you want to set the date from the start or the end. Well, in this case, we've got to deliver this compliance by the end of the year, so I'm going to pick end by basis date, and then I'm going to start the template. So what GoalStormer has done is pulled the information from that goal into this screen here so we can review it, and I can add anything in here that I need. So for example, we need to do this by law, and it's got to be done by the end of this year, and that's going to be a fixed date here, and I'm going to auto coach user. So that means that anyone who uses this template, A, they can't change the deadline from the end of the year, and B, I will be able to track how they're doing when they use this template. So then we go through the other tabs here. There's no chart on this particular goal. If we wanted to, we could add a chart. That might be something like sales tracking or lead tracking, or members of staff in the team, or whatever you want to track with numbers. But in this case, we're not going to bother with a chart. And then we'll go into the per step review. So we're just going to have a look at these. Yes, that's fine. All of these steps make sense. And you can see that it's keyed in the number of days from the end, which GoalStormer has calculated from the current goal. So if you just make sure that all the steps are right in your own goal when you set it up, then GoalStormer will figure that out for the template. So then we're going to make the template from this raw information. Here it's presented back to us, And now the other things that I need to do is just pop a quick summary in here. So we need to prepare for DPA compliance. Any questions to CIO? And I'm going to restrict this to the customer service team because they're the people who deal with customer data, and I'm going to make this template live. Now you can see that GoalStormer has done a few calculations for me and told me that this template from the first action to the end lasts for 69 days. That's fine, that's just for information. I could, if I wanted, change back to a start template, but we're going to leave that. So we'll update the main template. So that's fine, that's all updated. If I want to, I can go in and change the steps and tweak those, reorder them or change the dates. But other than that, we're good to go. If I'm a user who wants to use the new template, then I simply go into the Tools tab, I search for Templates, and I'm going to search for one of the terms that's somewhere in the profile or in the title. So there we go, New Data Protection Laws. I can have a quick read of this as a user, make sure that I understand it, create the goal from the template, and then when I go back in here, now as Floella, I can see Learn New Data Protection Laws. I've got the steps in here with the timelines that are needed, and I can check these off and I can edit them and change them as needs be. As the creator of the template, I can go into the template menu, track user progress, and by selecting this template, you can now see that I've got this this data table showing me who's used the template and how they're getting on. So I can see for Floella here, there's the step that she's done and the 2 that are live. I can see that she's a third of the way through it and is pretty much on track. Now these data tables are actually really useful for quick comparisons and drill downs. Let's have a look at a more detailed one. So in customer services here, we've got this table here. So why is this of interest? Well, we can do very quick searches. So if I'm interested in Floella, for example, I just start typing her name. It's restricted down. If I'm interested in only the live goals, I can start searching there. I can click on the title to sort by progress, either ascending or descending. I can search for everything that was done in October by doing that sort of thing. I can look for anything that's public, or I can sort here. So you get the impression that we can sort and filter and change all of these sorts of things. We can also, as you've seen before, dig into the different goals which are in here and how people are getting on, and you can see that this reprobate Keith has postponed this goal and really not been doing the stuff that he should be doing, and the deadline's coming up soon, so I need to have a word with him. Whereas Floella, for example, is doing really, really well. She's moved both her goals forward there, and she's the top of the tree when it comes to progress. So very, very useful way for quickly looking at how people are doing relative to one another. If you ever need to remember what this is all about, you can click on the name of the group here, and it gives you the raw stats of how many people are in it and what its purpose was. Occasionally you'll need to send a quick update to all the members of a particular group. So the way that you can do that in GoalStormer is under the Updates tab, click on the plus button here, pick the group that you're interested in, so it's customer service, and here I might say something like, remember folks, it's review time soon. Best do all those actions and send the message, and boom, out that goes. So if I look at that as a group member, you can see as a GoalStormer user that when the new message comes in, the envelope icon here lights up to show me I've got a new update. I click on that, and there we go. That's the message for me as a member of the group telling me that it's review time soon. We've talked a lot about the benefits of Pro subscriptions, but there's also a User Plus subscription in GoalStormer, which I think has got 2 big benefits when you're working with groups of people to educate and train and bring them on. So the first big benefit of User Plus is delegated steps. Now this is where you take an individual step within a goal and you assign that one step to a different user. Now, why that can help is it illustrates the difference between accountability, which is ownership of the goal, and responsibility, so getting all the steps done. So it can be a useful way to help your people grow and learn how to let go while still retaining control. That in turn feeds into better prioritization and better management of time, because instead of trying to do all of the steps in a goal, you can educate the goal, you can sort of encourage the goal owner to delegate some of the steps out to other people, to transfer some of the responsibility, and for them to grow their own people as well. There are additional reports within User Plus in the Info Hub console, which is a little bit like the Pro Hub, and the reason behind these reports is fundamentally about a bit of insight and co-opetition, so a mixture of cooperation and competition. So what you can do there is get the User Plus subscribers, so the users who've got User Plus subscriptions can go into the Info Hub and they can have a look at, for example, their goal progress versus the progress of another user, so that you have this inbuilt competition, particularly if you're working with standard goals, so template goals or common goals across a group. And so people can have a look at that and see, how am I doing against other people? So it starts to get them self-motivating without you necessarily intervening. So two big benefits, I think, of User Plus. Let me show you how you use them. The easiest way to start is to open the goal that I'm interested in. In this case, we'll take the Find the Right Publisher for my poem. We'll have a look in there, and we can see there's a step in there that perhaps this is not the best use of my time. If I was the mentor for this user, I might be suggesting this is something that you're responsible for, but perhaps you could delegate this out to someone else. So that being the case, a User Plus subscriber sees this delegate field, and I'm going to select Floella as my delegate, and I'm going to update this step. Now, if I just quickly open it again, you'll see that Floella's name has gone orange. That will go green if Floella accepts the goal, the step, a red, or sort of pinky red, if she rejects. So let's log in as Floella and have a look at what she sees. Now we're Floella. I'm going to have a look at my to-do tab, so my list of all the steps that I've got to do, and you can see there's a new button appeared which is delegated to me. So unsurprisingly, if I click on here, I can see in this case, just one step that someone else has asked me to take on. It's orange to show that I need to accept or reject it. So if I open it up, I can have a look and see what information is there. If I need to, I can click on this link here, which will give me the context of the entire goal. So if I click on that, you can see that's all the information I need. That's fine, thank you. And I'm happy with that one, so I'm going to accept that step. Great, so now what happens is you'll see it's gone green. Fabulous. And also, because this to-do list here is a list of all of my steps in time order, what we'll find is that down here, do an online search of publishers has a little green dot against it. Now that little dot means this step has been delegated to me and I've accepted it. If that dot was orange, it would be a step which I needed to respond to. So that's great. So what I've done here as Floella is I've taken on the step from the other goal. So although it's not in one of my own goals, I'm going to do this step, and then let's go back and have a look at what Jane, the person who owns the goal and delegated the step, let's see what she sees. So here's the goal, here's the step, and now we can see that Floella's name has gone green to show that she's accepted that. And as you might expect, if I look as the person who delegated the step out, if I look at my steps timeline, you can see a little green hollow circle to show that this is a step that I've delegated out and has been accepted. And now delegated steps work just the same as any other steps. They can be completed, they can be updated and so on, and they feed into the goals and the goal progress, but that's how you work with delegated steps. The second User Plus benefit is the Info Hub, which if you go into the Tools tab, you'll see an Info Hub button. Click there, and now I have access to all sorts of extra reports about my goals. So here, this looks like the dash strip along the top of the main user interface, but with a much more vivid colour scheme to let me see which steps I need to concentrate on. So here's my overdue ones here. I've also got a timeline that shows me the spread of my goals across time. There's today, and I can see that my goals are fairly well spaced out, so that's good. But here, what we talked about was this idea of co-opetition, so comparing goals side by side. So if I look at the people that I support or the people that support me, I can pick one of them and select them. And what GoalStormer does is shows me side by side how we're both getting on. So I can see that me, as Jane here, I'm doing fairly well on most of my goals. I've got the odd thing which is overdue, and I've got quite a few goals going on. So when I look at Floella, I can see that she's achieved quite a bit on this goal here. In fact, everything she needs to do, but is falling behind a little bit on this Christmas event thing. So I can either give Floella some encouragement or a bit of banter to say, come on, we should be, you should be catching up with me. I'm doing much better here. And so what we're doing is this combination of cooperation and competition, this co-opetition that we call about, to try and get people to self-motivate within their own groups, so that you as a coach, a manager or a mentor can kind of take a step back and advise on how people should move forward. But these sorts of tools allow you to get that spirit of competition amongst your team, so that each person grows quicker and more effectively. Having a documentation trail, a trail of evidence that shows progression over time, can sometimes be very useful. It can, for example, track and illustrate the difference that your support has made to people, to individuals or to groups, because they're achieving things earlier or they're achieving bigger things. So if you want to do that in GoalStormer, here's the approach that I suggest to keep it really simple. The first thing is to make sure that you've got your agreed initial goals set up with the user, and all in GoalStormer broken down into steps with dates that everyone's happy with. And then what you do is you go into the Pro Hub and you generate an ad hoc report, which you then save as a baseline and say, this is what we agreed on day one. And then what you do is you schedule the regular reports, whether that's every month or 2 months or 3 months or 6 months or whatever, and you'll receive those by email. And then having these emailed PDFs alongside the baseline now gives you your evidence trail for progress over time. So let's have a look at how we do that in practice. To generate our documentation trail with a user, the first thing to do is to make sure for the goals that we're interested in, under the settings tab here, that we as the coach, as the mentor, as the manager, have been selected in the with coach field. So just make sure that for all the goals that you're interested in tracking, that's set within the user account. So now that we've done that with Floella's goals here, let's have a look at how we generate that evidence trail. Now, as the coach and mentor, I'm in the Pro Hub. I go to the users menu and progress reports, and this is where I see all of the users that I'm helping or mentoring or coaching with their goals. So I've been selected as the coach in that selector field there. So Floella is the person that we're interested in. So we've just agreed a whole load of goals with Floella. What we want to do is establish our baseline report. So we just click the preview button here, and that generates us a nice printable report that we can walk through and discuss with Floella. But what we're going to do this time around is use the file menu and then print. I'm using a Mac here, but it's similar on the PC. Here I've got as destination save as PDF. On a PC that would be save as an XPS file. And I'm just going to save that into a known location, and that gives me now my first ever baseline for Floella and her goals. Now obviously everything there will be pretty much on time and not started, but at least it tells me things like the due dates for all of the different steps and goals. So that's my baseline. Now what I then do is click on the schedule button and decide, let's have a look, let's say it's going to be about the mid-month, and it's going to be every 2 months, and I save there, and that tells me the next report is due out on the 14th of November, and I'll get it every 2 months after that. Now what's going to happen here is that GoalStormer will email me a PDF of that report. Actually, it's a slightly simplified format to make it smaller in your inbox, but basically you're now every 2 months going to get an update to the progress for those goals and steps, and if there are any date changes because things have been pushed back or pulled in or what have you. So together, taking together the initial baseline that you generated and printed as a PDF, plus these emails that you're going to get every 1 month or 2 months or whatever you choose, you now have a PDF-based evidence trail of how Floella has been getting on with the goals that you're helping her with. GoalStormer generates standardized progress reports which are driven from the data in the system about the goals and steps that people have been working on and achieved. So how can you use these reports in your reviews to stimulate discussion? Well, the first thing is when you've got the report on screen, once you've clicked the preview button, you'll see an I tab, a little sort of semicircle tab at the top. Click on that and you'll get instructions for how to use the report. So if you ever need to refer to them, click on that on screen and you'll see them. There are three main sections within the report. The top part deals with momentum and engagement and how the user for whom the report has been generated, how they are engaging with their goal. Are they doing little and often, or are they doing a very sort of peaky work on their goals? The second section is about their goals, which ones are overdue, which ones are live and which ones are postponed. And then the third section is the steps in great detail. Now, I will show you this on screen and we'll talk through the colour coding, but basically we're looking at things which have been done but late, done early or done on time, and then things which are overdue or things which are forthcoming. So let's just have a look at one of those reports on screen and discuss how the information that's presented can be interpreted back to the user when you're meeting with them, and what sort of questions it can raise so that you can introduce more value as a coach, mentor or manager. As a quick reminder, to get to the reports, click on the Users menu and then Progress Reports, and then we're interested in this case, Fluella and Preview. So here is the main report. Here's your top section of the report, which is all about momentum and where this user is. So you can see they've got one overdue goal, none done late, one live, none done on time, none done early and none postponed. So this is the start of the conversation about how people are doing with delivering against their accountability objectives. So are they managing to achieve things? Are they achieving them but late or early? And then we move on to the momentum chart here, which what you're looking for here is, are there spikes and troughs as in here? Because we can see this is the course of 30 days, so perhaps about 25 odd days ago there was a peak here and then nothing was done, then another peak of activity and then nothing was done, then a little bit of work and then a bigger bit of work about a week and a bit ago. So what this is suggesting to me is that Fluella here has time that she puts aside to mark off the work that she's done and to indicate that she's engaging with this goal probably once a week or so. If you had this line being completely flat and then a huge spike at the end just before review time, you know that what people are doing is not moving forward with their accountability, and then at the last minute that shoots up as they realise they've got to do their homework before they come and meet teacher. So this little chart here allows you to explore how people are planning and managing their time around what they've chosen to be accountable for. So the next section is goals. So again, we just split them down into three. We've got overdue, live and postponed. Anything that's achieved, by the way, isn't on this report because this is about the stuff that people are working on right now. What we're looking at is the overall progress. That's the indicator bar here. And we can see, for example, this write a great poem goal here. It looks like all the steps are done, but the goal's not been closed yet. So we might want to ask Fluella, what is it that makes you feel you can't mark this goal as achieved yet? Are you not happy? Do you feel that there are some extra steps that should be in there? Because you're past your due date for this goal. So let's have a talk about that. We can also see that it's a Christmas event here. 25th of December is the deadline for this live goal. There's some progress being made, so that's fine. We could say there are only, I think at the moment, 8 or 9 weeks to go until Christmas, so really should this be over here somewhere, and what would help you move this goal further forward, so we can have a big picture conversation about the goals that this user has committed to. And at the moment, nothing postponed. The reason you might be interested in postponed is if you have a user who wants to boil the ocean. They want to do loads and loads and loads of stuff and they want to try and do everything at once. Now, we as coaches and mentors know that can sometimes be difficult to achieve, and you're better to pick 2 or 3 things at most and focus on those. So having the postpone section here allows you to have that mentoring conversation or that training conversation about not trying to do everything at once, and perhaps some of these goals as complete entities should be postponed for later. The third area is the detail of the steps across all of the different goals, and this is in date order again, so earliest at the top, latest at the bottom, and we use the same colour coding as the goal segment, the donut chart chart at the top. So remember this chart up here. So we use that same color coding down here. So I can see, for example, that Floella here has achieved 4 steps, this green one and 3 orange ones, and that's telling me that she's either achieving them late, that's what orange means, or she's been a bit ambitious with the original deadlines and due dates that she set. So if you see someone who's got lots and lots of orange here, then the chances are they're being optimistic with the deadlines, or they're not managing to put the time aside. So it means they are getting through the work but not on time. Conversely, if you've got someone who's got a lot of dark green, that means that they're achieving too easily. They're doing everything early, so they're perhaps being a little bit lax with their deadlines, or a bit gentle on themselves, or maybe they're just super efficient. Ideally what you're looking for is the light green that says stuff's been done on time. Anything which is overdue is red, and again you can see the progress for open steps, whether they're overdue red or live blue. So it also means that you've got a good picture of how much has been done for the overdue steps and what's coming up, and whether there's any work being done ahead of time to try and spread the load of work. If you've got a number of people within your organisation that you want to have upgraded subscriptions for, so that could be managers or coaches or mentors who need pro subscriptions, or maybe junior managers or team leaders or supervisors, or advanced users who want a user plus subscription, there is a way to centrally manage these so that you're not having to deal with lots and lots of expense claims and different end dates for licenses and so on. And that's the central subscriptions license agreements within GoalStormer. So these use the groups within GoalStormer, and what you can do is you can pick one or more groups, and you can nominate those groups to be license groups for a particular period of time for a license level, either user plus or pro. Benefit of that, of course, it means that you're in control of the spend. You can decide how long these licenses last for, who gets them, and how many you have. And the idea behind GoalStormer license agreements is that they're very flexible. So if, for example, you have 10 people for 6 months, and your team doubles in size to 20, you can actually grow the number of licenses and reduce the time, so 20 licenses over 3 months. Conversely, if you start out with your 10 people who are licensed for 6 months and your team shrinks to 5, you can then take that same license agreement, make it for 5 licenses, but stretch it out to 12 months. So basically it's completely flexible for the numbers that you've got and the amount of time that you want to use it for. So let's have a look at how they work in practice, and I hope show you how they make it much easier to manage the bulk licenses that you need in order to make GoalStormer really effective in your organisation. Rightio, let's look at licensing agreements. Licensing agreements work with groups. You can either reuse an existing group, or you can set up a group specifically to give people licenses. So let's have a look at both of those. So we'll click on the groups menu and license groups. Now I don't have any at the moment, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new agreement here for my, let's say I run an incubator mentors, and I want to give them pro level subscriptions. So I've set up a group for pre-startup mentors and advisors, and I'm going to give them a pro license, and I want that to last for a year, let's see, so that's 12 whole months. GoalStormer calculates dates from the start of October to the end of September, so that's a year. And I've only got one member in the group just now, you can see from this pull down here, but I know that I've got a few more coming on board, so I'm going to do 5 mentors. And actually, you know what, I'm only going to do it for 6 months because I want to try all this first, so we'll go until the end of March. So there we go. And if I want to put some notes in here, this is for trialing our new mentoring program. So then what we can do is we can calculate the price that will be needed to pay, and there's a couple of notes here. It just says that if we change this group here, the original group will lose the licenses. In other words, we can take this agreement and apply it to another group, but that original group will of course lose their licenses that we've bought them. Just another little note that reminds you of what I said earlier, that GoalStormer works on calendar months, so it's adjusted the dates for us to make sure that we're aware of that. And then it gives us the cost that it will take to buy all of these licenses for all of that period of time. So if we want to change anything, if I say, well, actually, do you know what, that's great, but I'm going to have 8 mentors now, I can recalculate the price, and then when I'm happy and I've got everything done, I can click buy now, and then this is where we go to the buy page, and when I click buy now here, I'll be taken to PayPal, and that's where I can put in my payment details, and as soon as that's all agreed, then the license agreement takes effect, and now this will come into place. So you can see I've gone back to the Pro Hub, and this is my license agreement here. I've got a little bar chart that tells me how many of the licenses are being used, and that goes red when I'm within a few licenses of running out. So I'll show you that in just a little second. So in the best traditions of TV, here's one I prepared earlier to show you the bar charts. If I click on groups and then manage groups, so these are groups here which have license agreements attached to them. So this is another user here, but you can see that 2/3, 2 of the 3 licenses have been used. So I've got an orange bar chart here, whereas this test group here has only got 1 license and it's used, so that there's 100% usage. That's gone pink. Otherwise, that would be a little white bar chart showing me how many of these licenses have been used. So for any of the groups that you have which have licenses associated with them, you'll see this additional row here giving you information on the license, and you can edit the license in there by just clicking on the little bar chart, and that takes you into here. And that is how you manage any number of license agreements for any number of groups. So I could add as many groups as I want here for different User Plus or Pro licenses and manage them all from in here. And I can edit the licenses here. I can calculate new prices if I want to extend them, and I can even change the groups that the licenses apply to. So if I wanted to change the licenses from one program to another, I can do that completely flexibly. Well, I hope that was really useful for you. Now here's the thing, if you're not already a Pro subscriber, whether you ever buy anything again from me or not, please do register for a GoalStormer account and use it for your own goals, and test me on this. I'm going to show you how to try every Pro feature for free for 60 days. And you can go out and do this right now. And please remember, this is not just theory. It's exactly what I do to support and manage my mentoring clients. It's exactly the same principle as well if you've got established processes or if you're new to this and want to develop your own systems. So what's it really all about? Well, it's about freedom to use your time the way that you want to, efficiently. It's about boosting your profitability and having more of a life. It's about making a difference to more people with your experience and knowledge. It's about doing that without having to have that awkward time on the phone or nagging people and chasing them by email. It's about making time with people much more valuable by focusing on them, not administrative tasks like form filling. Now, I'm not exactly sure why you're watching right now. It might be because you're fed up of the effort it takes to run your coaching or consulting business when really you want to focus on the human contact. It might be because you want to coach and manage your staff more proactively but feel that you're really struggling for time. It might be that you want to start a coaching business and need a quick, easy way to get going, not spending hours chasing updates when you should be selling and talking and engaging. So if that's the case, I hope that you really get this one thing, that you can use GoalStormer as a platform to grow your business and make a bigger impact on more people with what you know, just like I've done. I took what I knew about getting groups of people to achieve and I made it into a system, GoalStormer, so that you can do the same. So I guess the obvious question is, how do I take what I offer, my mentoring or management stuff, and get more and more people using it? You have a choice. You can do it slow. You can use trial and error like I did to start with, lots of notes, phone calls, emails, Excel spreadsheets. Or you can do it quickly using the experience that we've designed and built into GoalStormer Pro. Einstein famously said that everything in life should be as simple as possible, but not simpler. And that's what we're aiming for. GoalStormer Pro is designed to give you a platform, everything that you need to support people with goals and ambitions. It's a place to systemize and organize your offerings. It's a place to engage with your clients or your staff. And it's a place to collate and pull together all that progress data. It generates automated reports that save you time. It gives you interactive dashboards and simple charts that give you insight quickly. Basically, it's a super fast way to get from just having great ideas and experience through to having happy people and a scalable, growing and manageable business. Basically, it helps you do this, navigate a route through the landscape to where you want to be, rather than this, just taking a leap of faith. So what exactly is GoalStormer Pro? It's web software in two main modules, the GoalStormer normal user interface and the Pro Hub designed for coaches and mentors. It's available all the time through your web browser, there's nothing to install or update. And it comes with built-in help tips and help screens and support email. And crucially, nothing's left out. GoalStormer Pro subscribers get all the platform features. The GoalStormer web app, well, you could use it for your own goals as well as for your clients. Use the system the way your clients do, become their trusted guide and advisor, hold yourself to account, or work with your own mentor. GoalStormer Pro also allows you to create and publish templates. These give easy access to your knowledge and offerings even when you're not around, which is another potential source of leads. You can mix private and published templates, which allows you to attract using public templates and maybe up or cross-sell using private templates. It's about trading value to help people see why they should engage more with you and get onto your paid programs. GoalStormer Pro also gives you groups. You can set up groups of users organised by interest or location, whether that's geographical or their position in the company org chart. You can organise by intake if you run a regular program, or whatever you want to do. And you can use these groups to let people access your added value content, your templates and web resources. You can send quick updates to just the members of a group within GoalStormer to streamline your communications. And of course, you can track progress and analyse performance on a group by group basis. As a pro, you can set up license agreements for other users. So this means that you can provide licenses to users that you pick for as long as you decide, so you can build your own community, and it gives people another reason to stick with you. There are lots of resources to help you and your users learn how to use GoalStormer to best effect. For users, look for the help tips with the little green circles which open up help screens. That helps users get to grips with things fast. We've got webinars with detailed user guides so that you can learn what you need at your own pace. There are lots of tips videos which are available for quick reminders or ideas for doing new things. And we've got an ebook coming up called Guerrilla GoalStormer, 7 Steps for Busy Mentors to Build Brilliant People, which pretty much does what it says on the tin. So how much will GoalStormer cost you? Well, bear in mind that if you were to engage me on a consulting basis, depending on the number of days, it'd be a minimum of £1,050 for each day. Our typical projects are sort of 5 to 25,000, can go up to as high as 60 or 70,000 for big projects, but we're usually booked several months ahead. And as well as all of the years spent building my experience, I've spent several thousand development hours bringing GoalStormer from concept to reality. You'll be pleased to know that GoalStormer will cost you a tiny fraction of those figures. In fact, you can get started today for £240. That immediately gets you all the pro features, and that's for a whole year. And of course, you can try all this for free for 60 days first. But do please decide soon, because we're going to be moving to a monthly fee model in 2016, and so the annual bundle price will no longer be available. And of course, you'll be getting much more for your business too. You'll be getting efficiency because you're making your knowledge repeatable, write once and use many times. You'll have a hands-off marketing tool. Your free templates, for example, can generate warm leads. You can build communities of brand advocates with groups and updates. And as well as saving your own time, you'll save clients' time because their data is all in one place too. There are no lengthy phone calls that you've got to chase to try and get them to remember what they were doing when you last talked. And if you help businesses that you work with improve their accountability with GoalStormer, then that can get you involved in bigger projects where you make a greater impact and are perceived and genuinely do create higher value. And referral fees, which are part of GoalStormer, can build a new revenue stream for your business. Now, you can get these slides and more at web.goalstormer.com/learn. So let's sum up. If you want to systemize your processes and help more clients achieve more things that matter without wasting valuable time on admin tasks, then this is the ideal platform for you. It's a blend of people, process and technology capabilities, and I've built exactly what I needed when I started. This would have saved me weeks getting started and hours every week. And remember, you get all of the features plus email support in the Pro subscription. So to get started right now, go to this page, www.goalstormer.com/gsregister.php, register for your account, and then look at the top right hand corner or on the confirmation screen for the upgrade button and click that. When you click the upgrade button, you'll see the upgrade page on the left here, and you can either click on the try for 60 days link. It says 30 here but it's 60 now, so try for 60 days link, or you can click on the upgrade to Pro button. Now if you click the upgrade to Pro button, then you'll see this PayPal page on the right hand side, and you'll see Critical Action Limited at the top. That's our parent company, and that's the name that will appear on your PayPal invoice. So go through the PayPal process, and that upgrades your account. Perhaps you're not completely convinced yet that GoalStormer is exactly right for your business. Well, that's why we give you all of the Pro features for free for 60 days. And we're not going to take any payment details in order to get those 60 days, because if you don't see the value for your business, there's nothing more to do. There's no cancellation email to send, there's no action that you need to take. But even then, of course, you can still use GoalStormer Standard for yourself, for free, with our compliments for your own goals. But after 60 days, if you do like it, then yeah, go ahead, buy a Pro subscription. You get immediate access following https://www.goalstormer.com/gsregister.php. That allows you to register for an account, so you can click on the upgrade button on the confirmation screen or at the top right of the web app when you're logged in, so that you can upgrade to a Pro subscription.